Hello, you're stuck at Travel with Wolf Corlock. A few minutes riffing on IT and IT security. Today looking at segregation of duties in DevOps, because the art of security is to enable some business process, right? But do so in a way that adds some protection. It's the anti-lock brakes, it's the airbags, it's the ability to let you go fast and get where you need to go while adding some protections to make sure nothing goes wrong. It's the art of reducing risk and balancing that reduction with the application of security controls. So, tip for you when looking at DevOps and considering segregation of duties, which is of course a very strong control for a number of reasons, including code quality, prevention of malicious insider, prevention of collusion, and so on. When looking at DevOps and considering insider threat, you have to balance the cost of segregating and reducing who can push and change to production. You know that so much of the efficacy and the speed and performance of a DevOps model comes from developers having access to do operations tasks, right? You don't have to put in a ticket, you don't have to wait, you don't have to change control. But of course, those are all pretty important tasks from a security perspective. So how do you do it? One of the things I've seen that I like is this idea of having a certain number of people who are in charge of pushing changes to production. And having that rotate, right? You want to have multiple people rotate through the cycle and be able to add those changes. But having those people responsible be a very small number. Now, if you got 200 developers and at any given time only 10 or 5% have access to development, that's a pretty strong control. But maybe that 10 rotates throughout your whole team, right? Maybe at any given week, that's a different 10 people. So I go, oh, wait a minute. That's going to create a whole bunch of overhead. It's going to create a whole bunch of work. We just should give everyone having access. You could. That absolutely does reduce the overhead on the business. It keeps DevOps moving fast, but it also, of course, reduces risk. Again, of all the things I mentioned earlier, malicious insider, collusion, people pushing changes to production they shouldn't, unplanned outages, all those sort of things. So what do? You can look at that 10 people out of 200 developers, right, as a rotation, and have the 10 people on a rotation be defined in the calendar, and then use the same automation tools that we're using to automate everything else in DevOps to put those 10 people in the right groups to push changes to production. So at any given time slice, only 10 people have the ability to move to production. And at any given time slice, the right 10 people do, right? And that time slice rotates around. Now another thing is, thou shalt not develop code, right, and push change to production. Well, thinking again in terms of time slices, perhaps those 10 people who are on call that week don't have changes or the ability to make code changes. Perhaps when you add them to those groups, you remove them from the development groups. Well, then wait a minute. What the heck are they doing? What? People are just sitting around? There's work they can do, right? Think of this as like the share pattern or other concepts where you have people who at a given point in time are not tasked with any work. They're just simply tasked with interruptions or handling backlogs. There you go. So automate it, reduce the effort, have 10 people who can push changes to production, have those 10 people in the right groups, not in the development groups, and have the group membership changed through an automation framework to simplify things. That's one way of going about it. I'm sure there's others. What have you seen that's worked well? Hey, hit me up in comments or in social media. But overall, I think the concept of simplifying, meeting the control, using the same automation frameworks that we're using today to simplify development is pretty powerful. Cheers.